Test series or the ODI series, as also the fact that in terms of the captaincy, because India throughout that tour of Australia went unbeaten. They drew the T20 series 1-1, they won the Test series 2-1, and of course the 2-1 win in the ODI series. It was a spectacular tour from the Indian team's point of view. It was a cracker of a contest between both sides as well. But Australia now themselves building towards the World Cup as well. So quite a few spots in their squad to be taken as well. So I'm sure they will be giving a few chances to some of their players who are on the fringes, somebody like Jason Behrendorff or Jai Richardson, who really impressed in the ODI series against India.
Well, certainly we've got a lot to look forward to in this T20 International at the Vizag Cricket Stadium. We're slipping into a short break and we'll be back with lots more.
You are tuned into Sports Flashes Radio, world's biggest sports radio channel. Sports Flashes, the official broadcast partner of BCCI. Sports Flashes, everything about sports.
Cricket Trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
Virat Kohli's 488 runs in T20 internationals versus Australia is the most number of runs scored by any batsman versus the Aussies. Aaron Finch's 397 runs in T20 internationals versus India is the most scored by any batsman against the men in blue. You are listening to Sports Flashes Live. Download Sports Flashes app or visit www.sportsflashes.com. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel. You are listening to Sports Flashes Live.
Dhoni finishes off in style. A magnificent strike into the crowd. India lift the World Cup. Pulls it back. Here's Ronaldo for the hat-trick. And Cristiano Ronaldo does it again.
Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Welcome back to Sports Flashes Radio, and we are coming to you live from the Vizag Cricket Stadium. Dusk settling in this picturesque ground with a hill overlooking the stadium. Floodlights having already taken over, although it's just 7 minutes past 6 in the evening. First ball to be bowled, scheduled to be bowled at 7 p.m. So we are still while away from the toss and the declaration of the final 11s. But Chetan, Virat Kohli finds this ground quite to his liking. He's had 4 three-figure scores in the one-day internationals, also has a century in test matches, so seems to love this place.
He loves a lot of grounds across the world, doesn't he, Ravi? I mean, wherever he goes, he does score runs, but yes, has a special affinity for this ground as well. I was there when he scored that Test 100 against England, 167, was firmed on for a double 100 that day back in 2016, just missed that, but what an innings that was. Set up the series and the match for India as well. But what about his limited overs form here? 118, 117 as well. And we're looking at 5 innings here, 118, 117, 99, 65, 157. So he's always crossed 50 mark here whenever he's played. And, 2 test innings here as well. 81 in the second test innings that he played against England. So he's always crossed the 50 mark at Vizag. He did not play in the only T20 that this ground has hosted, but you can say that he might correct that statistic today.
Well, certainly he would be looking forward to correct that statistic and a lot more, because he needs just 12 more runs to become the first player to score 500 against an opponent in T20 internationals, and doing that against Australia is no mean feat.
Well, it's interesting because to a degree, we can say that Australia were able to keep him quiet, relatively quiet, given his high standards, given how he scored so many runs across formats in South Africa and England. But in relative terms, he was quieter during that Australian tour. Cheteshwar Pujara did so well during the Test series that you didn't feel that Virat Kohli scored only just the one Test 100 during that series. But you cannot deny his impact when it comes to limited overs cricket. The other batsman, of course, we need to talk about is Rohit Sharma, the vice captain. In this shorter format, or the shorter formats, I should say, he is also one of the modern day greats of limited overs cricket.
Well, Rohit Sharma too stands on the cusp of a world record. He is just 2 sixes away from overhauling the record of Chris Gayle and Martin Guptill, who got 103 sixes each. So 2 more and he could go ahead of them. Well, let's slip into a short break and we'll know how far the Indians getting there. But at the moment, we'll take a break and be back in a short while.
You are listening to Sports Flashes Live. Download Sports Flashes app or visit www.sportsflashes.com. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel. You are tuned into Sports Flashes Radio. Sports Flashes Radio. World's biggest sports radio channel. Sports Flashes, the official broadcast partner of BCCI. Sports Flashes, everything about sports.
Cricket Trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
Shane Watson's 10 wickets in 8 T20 internationals versus Australia is the most taken by an Australian bowler in T20 international versus Indians. Jason Barandov's spell of 4 for 21 versus India in India is the best by any bowler between the two cricketing nations in T20 internationals. You are tuned into Sports Flashes Radio.
And what a performance by the number 3 seed, Saina Nehwal, who tomorrow will contest a third All-England semi-final.
Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Cricket Trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
Virat Kohli's 8 catches in 14 T20 internationals versus Australia is the most by any player between India and Australia. Rohit Sharma's 18 T20 internationals versus Australia is the most number of matches that a player has been a part of in an India-Australia encounter.
Welcome back to the Visakhapatnam Cricket Ground, where we are getting ready to witness the India versus Australia T20 International alongside Chetan Narula and Ravikant Singh. Chetan, what is it with leg spinners that India's handed the cap to a new boy, 20-year-old Markande?
Well, they are the going currency in international cricket at the moment, aren't they? I mean, you look at every limited overs side, they want to have a leg spinner. I was talking to Saqlain Mushtaq last summer, and he said, a leg spinner has so much variety. He can bowl 3 deliveries at every single ball. Confusing the batsmen, they have to attack, they have to defend, and then in the limited overs formats, they absolutely have to attack the spinners. And we have seen the likes of Yuzvendra Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav find so much success. And now it is the turn of Mayank Markande, who has been presented his maiden international cap. He will be making his international debut for India today. Steep rise, Ravi, for the youngster from Punjab who's played only the one season of IPL for Mumbai Indians. and his first IPL wicket at Googly to MS Dhoni. Who can forget that?
Well, certainly he's got a lot going for him as a leg spinner from Punjab. So another leg spinner to unravel for the Aussie batsman, and with so much trouble with the wrist spinners, Yajvendra Chahal and Mayank Markande asking so many questions. I think it's going to be a very busy night for the wicketkeeper as well.
Well, MS Dhoni, you would expect, will be up to the mark. One of the key elements of India's progress with their spinners has been the fact that MS Dhoni is always there to guide them from behind the stumps. It is something that Yuzvendra Chahal has talked about, is something that Kuldeep Yadav has talked about, and it will be no doubt that this is something Mayank Markande himself will talk about in the future as well. Today he's playing his first international game with MS Dhoni, like I mentioned, who was his first dismissal in IPL cricket. Just looking at his bowling summary from the IPL last season, played for Mumbai Indians 14 matches in his rookie season. That says a lot about his caliber. Of course, he picked up 15 wickets at an economy of 8.36. Yes, that's an agreeable economy, but that average 24.53, not too shabby for a first season in the IPL.
Well, certainly not too shabby, and that's the reason why he has been handed the India cap today for T20 internationals, and would be trying his peddling his wares against the Australian batsman. We'll slip into another short break and be back with lots more as we lead up to the toss for this game.
One station filled with full football fever.
Thinks about the shot, will go for it, and will plant an absolute cracker into the corner to put the icing on what is a very sweet tasting cake for Manchester City.
And you are just one click away.
Sergio Aguero. Oh, that's vicious! Unstoppable!
Download Sports Flashes app or visit www.sportsflashes.com. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Sports Flashes. Cricket trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
Virat Kohli's 488 runs in T20 internationals versus Australia is the most number of runs scored by any batsman versus the Aussies. Aaron Finch's 397 runs in T20 internationals versus India is the most scored by any batsman against the men in blue. Catch all the cricketing action and complete drama at one click of your phone.
He does that. Smack again onside, being peppered. Consecutive boundaries.
Don't miss. Download the app now. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Sports Flashes.
Welcome back to Sports Flashes Radio. We're leading up to the toss for the India versus Australia first T20 international between the two sides being played at the Vizag cricket ground, and floodlight. The seats filling up for the 7 p.m. start. The local time at the moment is just about 17 minutes past 6 o'clock. And Chetan, not much of a dew factor here. So team bowling second wouldn't really be at a disadvantage.
Not really, and that's a very good point, because India, especially with Virat Kohli playing, they like to chase. Irrespective of the format, perhaps not so much in Test cricket because 5 days, different factors, but in limited overs cricket, India do definitely like to chase. It's something that's flown over from Virat Kohli to Rohit Sharma, who's also sometimes standing in for Kohli whenever he's rested or so. So yes, India do like to chase, but I think now we need to turn our attention towards the Australian side as well. Quite a good performance, all of them coming off a very good season of Big Bash League. The likes of Darcy Short for Hobart Hurricanes, 637 runs in 15 matches. He is sure to play today, isn't he?
Well, certainly they are looking at Darcy Short as one of the players who would really go after the Indians, and especially on this ground where the straight boundaries are not that long as they are in Australia. So straight hits could carry a long way, Chetan.
Absolutely, and a couple of big hitters there in as well. You have Marcus Stoinis, 533 runs in 13 innings for Melbourne Stars. Glenn Maxwell again, Melbourne Stars, 331 from 13. The strike rate is always very high, 142. But again, we're looking at Aaron Finch, Melbourne Renegades, 220 runs for just 8 matches. Again, he's somebody who's struggling for touch, who's struggling for form, and Australia might just have a worry there because he is the anointed captain, especially leading up to the World Cup.
Well, at the moment, I think Aaron Finch does have a lot of questions to answer, especially with his form in the Test series as well as the limited overs games. So Aaron Finch would be wanting to put all that behind him and make sure that his place is cemented. But we are leading into another short break and we'll be back with lots more.
You are listening to Sports Flashes Live.
Cody finishes off in style. A magnificent strike into the crowd. India lift the World Cup. Pulls it back. Here's Ronaldo for the hat-trick. And Cristiano Ronaldo does it again.
Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel. You are tuned into Sports Flashes Radio.
And what a performance by the number 3 seed Saina Nehwal, who tomorrow will contest a third All-England semi-final.
Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Sports Flashes.
This is Sports Flashes Live.
The flying Finn from Helsinki is on his last lap, looking magnificently good for his 20th World Championship win.
Download Sports Flashes app or visit www.sportsflashes.com. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Sports Flashes. Cricket Trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
Virat Kohli's 488 runs in T20 internationals versus Australia is the most number of runs scored by any batsman versus the Aussies. Aaron Finch's 397 runs in T20 internationals versus India is the most scored by any batsman against the men in blue.
Sports Flashes.
You are tuned into Sports Flashes Radio. World's biggest sports radio channel. Sports Flashes, the official broadcast partner of BCCI. Sports Flashes, everything about sports.
Cricket Trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
Virat Kohli's 488 runs in T20 internationals versus Australia is the most number of runs scored by any batsman versus the Aussies. Aaron Finch's 397 runs in T20 internationals versus India is the most scored by any batsman against the men in blue.
Sports Flashes.
Catch all the cricketing action and complete drama at one click of your phone.
He does that. Smack again onside, being peppered. Consecutive boundaries.
Don't miss. Download the app now. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Sports Flashes.
Welcome back to Vizag, and we are building up to the first T20 between India and Australia with me, Chetan Narula, and I've been joined by former Indian cricketer and leg spinner, of course, Lakshman Sivaramakrishnan. And it's a great day to be having him here in the box with us because we have a new wristy who's going to play cricket for India, Mayank Markande. Good evening, sir, first of all, and welcome here with Sports Flashes.
Yeah, good evening to all, and good evening, Chetan. It's fabulous to be here at the beginning of another new series, and T20 is all about action. And the pitch looks pretty good. I was at the pitch a little while ago, and the pitch looks pretty good. Although on the drier side, it's got a tinge of green, so the ball should come onto the bat. Expect a lot of boundaries to be scored, and generally we expect a high-scoring game here in Vizag. But both teams very strong in the batting department. I think we can expect a score of 170, 180 for sure, minimum.
It should be a high-scoring game because obviously Australian cricket is also coming off of a good season of the Big Bash League. But what is it about the wrist spinners at the moment which is becoming a currency for almost all teams? We have Adam Zampa, who's also playing for Australia today, or expected to play for Australia today, ahead of Nathan Lyon.
Especially in the shorter version of the game, in the one-day internationals and T20s. And T20s, most sides have a leg spinner. Just because of the reason that he can turn it both ways. He'll have the top spinner. If he has the flipper, he's got a lot of variety. And if he's got good control over the line and length, with the batsman looking to play big shots of almost every delivery, the leg spinners has a much better chance of getting a wicket than the off spinner and the left arm spinner. Just because of the reason the wrist spinner should be able to turn the ball on any pitch. And depending on the pitch, he can turn it big or even turn it marginally enough to just deceive the batsman. I think that's one of the reasons why the wrist spinners are in demand, and they've done exceptionally well in T20 cricket because of the variations and good control.
Well, India are likely to play 3 spinners today, and we have Yuzvendra Chahal, Krunal Pandya, and of course it's been confirmed that Mayank Markande will be making his debut today. We'll be back after a short break and continue this conversation as we build up to the first T20.
This is Sports Flashes Live.
Mika Hakkinen, the flying Finn from Helsinki, is on his last lap. Looking magnificently good for his 20th World Championship win.
Download Sports Flashes app or visit www.sportsflashes.com. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Sports Flashes. Cricket Trivia. Only on Sports Flashes. Sports Flashes.
MS Dhoni's 4 dismissals against India in T20 internationals in India are the most by any wicketkeeper between the two camps. 3 dismissals by MS Dhoni and Tim Payne each are the most number of dismissals by a wicketkeeper in a T20 international innings when played in India.
Sports Flashes.
You are listening to Sports Flashes Live.
Dhoni finishes off in style. A magnificent strike into the crowd. India lift the World Cup. Moves it back. Here's Ronaldo for the hat-trick. And Cristiano Ronaldo does it again.
Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel. Catch all the cricketing action and complete drama at one click of your phone.
He does that. Smack again onside, being peppered. Consecutive boundaries.
Don't miss. Download the app now. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Sports Flashes.
Welcome back to Vizag with me, Chetan Narula, as we are building up to the first T20 between India and Australia. The toss coming up shortly, and with me, Lakshman Sivaramakrishnan, former Indian cricketer here. And let's talk about just the one aspect that India missed in the ODIs and T20s against Australia and New Zealand in the latter half of that tour, Jasprit Bumrah. He's coming back after rest. Of course, India experimenting a bit with their pace options, but there's nobody like Bumrah at the moment, is there?
Certainly is one of the best in the business, probably the best in the world when it comes to limited overs games, even in surprise and test match cricket, that he's done phenomenally well. And Bumrah is the kind of bowler who's got a different action, totally different action, which has not been tampered with. So the bowling coach of the Indian team, Bharati Arun, has been outstanding with managing Bumrah's workload. And the only problem Bumrah had was bowling a little bit of no balls. Although he's had a bit of a break, he's worked really hard on his fitness, and he looks fit and raring to go. I just had a chat with Bumrah as well, just as I was about to do the pitch report, and he said he was raring to go and he was looking to get back into game mode, and the more he plays, the better he'll get. So I'm sure that Bumrah will come all guns blazing, and the first spell will also be very, very crucial when you're coming back after a bit of a layoff.
And the other pace element that we are looking at is perhaps Umesh Yadav, who last played his last T20 cricket was against the West Indies. He's been playing domestic cricket and been doing well with Vidarbha, of course, who won the Ranji Trophy. But in terms of T20 cricket, there's been a gap in terms of how many T20 matches Umesh Yadav plays. Does that impact a pacer as much, or is that not the case?
Generally it would, but Umesh Yadav is a very, very young, strong man, so he would be able to take the workload, and he's a rhythm bowler. Whether it's red ball cricket or white ball cricket, it's about rhythm. When he's in good rhythm, he's a genuine wicket taker. It might be a touch expensive on days that he's not in good rhythm, but I think Umesh Yadav will get a go. I think Bumrah and Umesh Yadav and three spinners will make the lineup for India in the bowling department. Also probably Vijay Shankar as the sixth bowler. We'll have to wait and see, but these are the feelings that I'm getting from whatever chat I've had with some of the players and Ravi Shastri and B. Arun.
Well, one confirmed news from the Australian camp is that Peter Hanscom will be making his T20 international debut. Didn't have a really great Big Bash season, 9 matches, 193 runs. Does have a good strike rate of 128.6, but he's generally considered someone who can play spin well, as we saw in the ODI series. But now we will go back to the middle of, or to the center, in fact, where both captains are present, and we will shortly have the toss. Of course, two confirmed news are that Peter Hanscom is making his T20 debut for Australia, and Mayank Markande is going to be playing for India. And we will shortly have news from the middle as to who is going to bat first, bowl first, as we are continuing to build up to this first T20 between India and Australia.
It's a very good evening to you all, and welcome to Vizag for this first Paytm T20 International. It's India versus Australia. And I've got the two captains here. Welcome back to Virat Kohli, captain of India. Aaron Finch is the captain of Australia. Ranjan Madugale from Sri Lanka is the match referee, and being the home captain, Virat Kohli has the coin. Aaron Finch will call. Tails is the call. And it's come down as tails. So Aaron Finch has won the toss. What are you going to do?
We're going to bowl first.
Reasons for that?
Looks like a really good wicket. I don't think it's going to change at all through the 40 overs. So hopefully we can chase down a total tonight.
And tell us something about your team, your T20 team, and what can the fans expect from your team?
Peter Hanscom makes his debut tonight, so it's very exciting for him. He's going to wicket keep also. We've played some mixed T20 in the past couple of years, so it's time that we start to get some consistent performances.
And obviously you play India so often, so you know exactly what they're all about.
Yeah, exactly. We seem to be playing them all the time these days, and especially coming off quite a long series of test matches, T20s and ODIs in Australia. Yeah, it's good to be back here though in India.
Your final question, who's going to open the innings for you with the bat?
Darcy Short.
All the best, Aaron.
Cheers, thanks.
Was the toss crucial or doesn't matter?
Well, we would have bowled first as well, but look, it looks like a good pitch to bat on. Maybe have some wear and tear through the second innings. There wasn't much due last night as well, so yeah, we're not too concerned about bowling second.
And what were you doing for all these days? Must have been an unusual feeling for you, not playing cricket. And what were you doing? Were you watching a lot, or you just switched off completely?
No, I was more or less switched off. I watched a couple of games, but didn't watch too much cricket. I wanted to get away from everything, refresh myself. So you need these times when you need to just recover, recoup, and come back more fresh than ever. So yeah, I'm ready and ready to go now.
I know it's a T20 format, but with the World Cup, looming, are you still looking to tie some loose ends with the 50 overs format?
Well, the people who might potentially make the World Cup squad, we're going to give them more game time, and that's the changes we have in this particular game as well. KL Rahul gets a bit of game time. He's been out for a while, so he's coming back in. Shikhar's been rested. In place of Bhuvneshwar Kumar, we got Umesh Yadav starting in this game, and in place of Vijay Shankar, Mayank Markande makes his debut tonight.
Okay, wonderful. All the best, Virat.
Thank you very much.
So there it is, the news from the centre. Australia won the toss, and they've elected to bowl first.
Well, there you have it. The toss won by the Australian captain Aaron Finch. Chetan Narula and Ravikant Singh back with you. Chetan, India will be batting first, and they will have a new opener in KL Rahul. Shikhar Dhawan rested because of his form. Peter Hanscom didn't have a great series against the Indians, making his T20 debut for Australia.
Couple of surprising elements there, of course. KL Rahul, they have to try him because he's also in the ODI squad against Australia, and that squad, that Indian squad announced for the 5 ODIs, almost resembles the World Cup squad that they will be taking to England. So KL Rahul has not been in the best of form, and they need to give him opportunities to see whether or not he is the extra batsman, whether an opener or a middle order batsman or a top order batsman, let's just say a top order batsman, whether he is the extra batsman that they want to take to England. Of course, Shikhar Dhawan makes way. He's been in tremendous form, but it's a big opportunity for KL Rahul, who has been doing well in the limited overs cricket, especially last year. But yes, as you said, Peter Handscomb, surprising element, of course, is that he will also be keeping wickets. He's somebody who's considered good against spin. India are playing 3 spinners, so that's a big point there in their middle order. Alex Carey, who opened the innings against India in the ODIs when they toured there, is not playing. So Darcy Short and Aaron Finch is the new opening partnership for Australia. And we have the playing 11 on our screens. It's Rohit Sharma with KL Rahul, Virat Kohli, Rishabh Pant at number 4. As we saw in New Zealand, he played a couple of good, impactful innings there. MS Dhoni, Dinesh Karthik and Krunal Pandya. Umesh Yadav coming back to slot in as the second pacer along with Jasprit Bumrah, and then Yuzvendra Chahal and Mayank Markande. For Australia, Aaron Finch and Darcy Short are the new opening pair. Marcus Stoinis, Glenn Maxwell, Peter Handscomb will be keeping wickets. Ashton Turner batting at number 6. He's considered a handful batsman lower down the order, as we saw in the Big Bash as well. Great finishing touches there. Nathan Coulter-Nile, bags of experience playing in T20 cricket, especially in Indian conditions. He's been all over the place playing in the IPL. Pat Cummins comes back to the limited overs squad again against India as well. Jai Richardson, so impressive. Jason Behrendorff, again, both of them very impressive. And a full-time spinner, wrist spinner, Adam Zampa. So these are the 2 playing 11s for India and Australia, and we will take a short break and be back in a jiffy.
You are listening to Sports Flashes Live. Catch all the live updates of Australia Tour of India from 24th February to 13th March. Download the app now and stay tuned for more updates. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Cricket trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
India's score of 202 in an innings at Rajkot is the highest score registered in T20 internationals between the 2 teams. 650s have been scored between the 2 teams in T20 international games in India. Catch all the cricketing action and complete drama at one click of your phone.
He does that. Smack again onside, being peppered. Consecutive boundaries.
Don't miss. Download the app now. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Welcome back to Sports Flashes Radio. We're coming to you live from the Vizag Cricket Stadium, all set for the T20 International between India and Australia to begin the first one of the series. 2 T20 Internationals and 5 one-dayers. And both teams really not looking at the T20 forms of the side, Chetan. They are looking at the World Cup preparations. So the teams basically are not in the usual T20 slam-bang mode.
Absolutely, and we can see a couple of selections from both sides, really. I mean, if you look at KL Rahul, who's getting a chance at the top of the order, you don't necessarily see Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma separated, but that is the case here because he needs to get a go, he needs to score some runs. You have Rishabh Pant and Dinesh Karthik in the same 11, as well as MS Dhoni, and Indian selector MSK Prasad has said that Rishabh Pant and Dinesh Karthik are competing for the same spot in the World Cup squad, and that is the spot of the second wicketkeeper batsman. So again, that is a shootout. And then of course you look at the Australian side and you have Peter Handscomb, who's considered to be one of the gun batsmen for their ODI squad. Darcy Short, he's had a great form. They're missing Steve Smith and David Warner. They need to fill those spots. There are certain doubts whether they will be called back immediately or even against the series against Pakistan. So a lot of spots up in the air, and both teams trying, as you said rightly, that World Cup ever looming on the horizon?
Well, it is the big prize in cricket, the World Cup, and this time starting on the 31st of May in England. So it is going to be on current form that the teams are going to be naming their sides. And don't forget, the sides have got to be named well in advance of the competition. So they want the tune-up to the big event to be nice and proper, and they need to have the right men in the right place. And I think India at the moment, as Siva was explaining a short while ago, does have a problem of riches both in the pace and the spin department.
Absolutely, so much so that they are able to rest somebody like Mohammad Shami and Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Both of them did really well in the series against Australia and New Zealand, especially in the limited overs formats. Shami also impressing in the test format as well. And India are perhaps also looking at a fourth pace option. Vijay Shankar has come up off late to provide the second pace all-rounder spot along with Hardik Pandya, who's missing this series. That's a big blow for India, by the way. He's missing the series, both the T20s and the ODIs, because of a back injury. So Umesh Yadav coming back after a while to play international cricket. In fact, coming back after a while to play T20 cricket. So India experimenting quite a bit, giving quite a few options. But at the same time, if you look at Australia, they are doing the same. Chai Richardson, Jason Behrendorff, they really impressed against India in the ODI and T20 series. But the big name therein is Pat Cummins.
Well, certainly both sides are working on their World Cup preparations, because for India at least this is the last series before they go into the T20 mode full time with the IPL, and then it will be immediately followed by the World Cup. We'll slip into a short break, and we've got the national anthems coming up in a short while from now.
This is Sports Flashes Live.
The flying Finn from Helsinki is on his last lap, looking magnificently good for his 20th World Championship win.
Download Sports Flashes app or visit www.sportsflashes.com. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel. Sports Flashes. You are tuned into Sports Flashes Radio. Sports Flashes Radio. World's biggest sports radio channel. Sports Flashes, the official broadcast partner of BCCI. Sports Flashes, everything about sports.
Cricket Trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
Virat Kohli's 8 catches in 14 T20 internationals versus Australia is the most by any player between India and Australia. Rohit Sharma's 18 T20 internationals versus Australia is the most number of matches that a player has been a part of in an India-Australia encounter.
Cricket Trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
MS Dhoni's 4 dismissals against India in T20 internationals in India are the most by any wicketkeeper between the two camps. 3 dismissals by MS Dhoni and Tim Payne each are the most number of dismissals by a wicketkeeper in a T20 international innings when played in India.
Welcome back to Visakhapatnam. We are just few minutes away from the start of the T20 international between India and Australia at this new ground, a new look ground, a new stadium, which has now certainly started making a lot of waves, hosting a good number of matches. They hosted the West Indies not so long ago, but the size of the ground makes it ideal for T20, Chetan, because this is a ground where you can safely clear the boundary with some smart hitting.
Absolutely, big hitters on both sides of well, both India and Australia, we have and they have good experience of playing in Indian conditions. Players from both sides, and that's what you want in T20 cricket, isn't it? I mean, the crowd has come on this fine Sunday evening to watch some of the big names of Indian and Australian cricket to clear the boundaries with ease. So it's not going to be easy for the bowlers from both sides, and we could be in for a good number of fours and sixes this evening. As I mentioned, we have Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Virat Kohli up top, Rishabh Pant, Dhoni, Karthik, and again Finch, Short, Stoinis, Maxwell. All these players good, clean T20 hitters.
Well, at this pitch report, former India captain and opener Sunil Gavaskar said 160 to 175. That's what the team batting first should be looking at. That would be par for this ground, which means that he expects the ball to turn a fair bit because there are cracks on the pitch. So the spinners would be making a lot more impression than they would normally do on a flat track.
Absolutely. I think it's imperative to look at India's tactic of going in with three spinners. They've dropped Vijay Shankar, who is an all-rounder. So they're playing Krunal Pandya ahead of Vijay Shankar. If we just talk about the all-rounder spot, Kuldeep Yadav is rested. If he wasn't rested, he would have assuredly played. But we still have two wrist spinners playing for India in Chahal and Markande. So perhaps India want to attack Australia with wrist spin. The last time Australia came here for limited overs cricket in 2017, if I'm not wrong, 5 ODIs, 3 20s, they did struggle against wrist spin. So again, India on the front foot using that weapon against this Australian lineup. And again, it'll be interesting to see how these Australian batsmen cope. And I think that's where the importance of Peter Handscomb coming in as well, because he's somebody who's considered to be good against spin bowling.
Well, certainly one thing is to play on reputation and another thing to play on form. And at the moment, form is not Peter Handscomb's best friend because he didn't have too good a series at home against the touring Indian side, although he had plenty of opportunities but failed to encash them, especially in the test matches. So, Chetan, a lot of questions would be asked about his inclusion in the side, especially in the place of Alex Carey behind the wickets. Now that puts a lot of pressure on the number 5 batsman.
Absolutely. I think he didn't have a very good big bash, did Peter Handscomb. And of course, we're looking at a couple of batsmen in an Australian lineup who didn't have a very good big bash. You're looking at Finch, you're looking at Handscomb, even Maxwell, by his usually hard-hitting standards, if I can say so, didn't really do well. Of course, a lot of these players represented Melbourne Renegades and Melbourne Stars in the Big Bash final recently. It was a cracker of a game with Renegades winning the Big Bash 2018-19 Big Bash by 13 runs against Melbourne Stars. So, interesting scenario for Australia. They have to experiment, keeping the World Cup in mind. They have to hand out chances and opportunities to these batsmen. And the big challenge, of course, for them is how they play those 3 wrist spinners. And not just the wrist spinners, Ravi. Jasprit Bumrah, how can we ignore that factor?
Well, certainly the new ball would be a factor, but at the moment, Jasprit Bumrah has been a man who's been on a mission and certainly would be looking to make a lot more impression on the international scene, because he is a man who's feared both at the start and in the death overs when he comes in and starts delivering those toe-crunching yorkers. And Umesh Yadav looks to have bulked up a fair bit since he last we saw him in action in Australia, and he has his shoulders have really put on some muscle.
Yes, he did play in the Perth Test. That was his last outing for India on the Australian tour. Came back, won the Ranji Trophy with Vidarbha. He's been in great form, and of course he's been called up to the international side for some action. But talking about Jasprit Bumrah, how good is that T20 international record? You're looking at 48 wickets in 40 innings, but look at the economy, 6.77, and the average 20.48. International T20 cricket, that's premium for any pace bowler. And in terms of IPL cricket as well, 61 matches in IPL cricket and 28 is the average. Here's the gold standard as far as pace bowling is concerned in T20 cricket.
Well, without a doubt, and talking about his pace bowling partner Umesh Yadav, we would like to correct a lot of things, because Umesh Yadav does have just six T20 matches in his kitty, but 9 wickets and an average of 20.44. So he is no mean a customer there either, because Umesh Yadav can certainly crank up the pace. 9 wickets for him in those 6 matches, and best of 2 for 19. And 2 wickets is what he got in the Perth Test match. But certainly the players would be hoping to get their right form and rhythm back before before the BCCI announces the World Cup squad. So we've got a short break coming up before the players from both sides line up for the national anthems.
This is Sports Flashes Live. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel. Sports Flashes, everything about sports. You are tuned into Sports Flashes Radio. World's biggest sports radio channel. Sports Flashes, the official broadcast partner of BCCI. Sports Flashes, everything about sports.
Cricket trivia. Only on Sports Flashes.
Yuvraj Singh's 9 sixes in a T20 International Series versus Australia is the most scored by any batsman between the two teams while playing in India. Jasprit Bumrah's 12 wickets in 9 T20 internationals versus Australia is the highest number of wickets taken by a bowler versus the Kangaroos. One station filled with full football fever.
Picks him at the shot, will go for it, and will plant an absolute cracker into the corner to put the icing on what is a very sweet tasting cake for Manchester City.
And you are just one click away.
Sergio Aguero. Oh, that's vicious! Unstoppable!
Download Sports Flashes app or visit www.sportsflashes.com. Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel. You are listening to Sports Flashes Live.
Dhoni finishes off in style. A magnificent strike into the crowd. India lift the World Cup. Pulls it back. Here's Ronaldo for the hat-trick. And Cristiano Ronaldo does it again.
Sports Flashes, world's biggest sports radio channel.
Welcome back to Sport Flashes Radio. Joined by Lakshman Shivaramakrishnan. Shiva, this ground could be a great one for spinners, because Ravichandran Ashwin has really set very high standards with his 4 for 8.
I remember that particular game, I think it was Sri Lanka, when the ball was turning square, and that particular pitch deceived everybody. It looked like a really flat batting deck, and when Ashwin came on to bowl in the very first over, he got the new ball to turn square, and he got rid of the left-handers. Dikwala was one of them for Sri Lanka. So this pitch has a little bit of grass on it, and I think it will not turn square. There will be a little bit of resistance for the spinners because it's on the drier side. That's the reason why India are playing 3 spinners and Markande making his debut. So it's a good option to have 2 leg spinners on the side. He's with Chahal, Markande, and also Krunal Pandya will be the 3rd spinner, and Umesh Yadav and Bumrah make the lineup. So it looks like a formidable bowling lineup for India, with Krunal Pandya considered as an all-rounder who can bat a bit with the left-handed option.
Personally, as a leg spinner yourself, do you see this as a newfound confidence in wrist spinners now in world cricket at the moment? Because at one point of time there was almost a paucity of quality leg spinners playing international cricket, and now all of a sudden we find leg spinners coming all over.
Yeah, that's the demands of T20 cricket and 50-over cricket. I mean, T20 cricket in particular, where the leg spinners have been very successful. A lot of young kids that turn up at the coaching camp also take up to leg spin.
And now we go into the national anthems for the two sides. First, it's Australia.